Very good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Big hi, big hello to all of you. जो सब मुझे जानते हैं और नहीं भी जानते, आज मैं आपके साथ बहुत ही प्राउड मोमेंट शेयर करने वाला हूँ। एक गुरु के लिए सबसे ज़्यादा प्राउड मोमेंट तब होता है जब उसका शिष्य, चाहे वो किसी भी स्टेज पे रहा हो, अगर वो एक कैरियर की बेस्ट लेवल पे पहुंच जाए और जो उसकी एम्बिशन है उसको अचीव कर ले। So I proudly present to you guys Miss Swati Sharma, 17th rank UPSC. She has selected IFS. 12th में वो मेरी स्टूडेंट रही हैं जब मैं 12th पढ़ाता था। शुरू से ही उनकी ड्रीम रही है कि उनको यूपीएससी में जाना है, आईएफएस करना है। उनकी जर्नी कैसे रही, कैसे उन्होंने पढ़ा, किसने उनको मोटिवेट किया, मुझे लगा कि मुझे उनकी एक्सपीरियंसेस आपके साथ शेयर करने चाहिए। एंड आई माई सेल्फ बीइंग इनटू गवर्नमेंट कंसल्टिंग, इनटू गवर्नमेंट एडवाइजरी, कैन अंडरस्टैंड द इम्पोर्टेंस of this UPSC examination because we primarily interact with all those bureaucrats. So here I am presenting Ms. Swati Sharma, how she has continued her journey from schooling to college to postgraduate to UGC NET and then to UPSC 17th rank. So let's hear from the horse's mouth. Let's hear from Ms. Swati Sharma.
In school, I had commerce background, which sir taught me. He taught me accounts and maths.
We'll discuss very informal discussion.
हाँ जी sir. तो आपने you taught me commerce and maths in school, and after that I did my bachelor's from Delhi University, Jesus and Mary College in Economics Honors.
Right.
Did my master's from JNU in Economics from School of International Studies. During that, I gave my NET exam and got JRF as well. Didn't pursue PhD because after that I started to prepare for UPSC. I didn't start during college or during masters because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to do justice to either of them. And so I decided to do it afterwards. And then I gave a few attempts, and last year I got Indian Audit and Account Service, which is under the CAG. And this year I've just gotten the rank. I'm hoping that I will get foreign service.
अभी पढ़ाई का कीड़ा खत्म हो गया है, अभी रह गया है?
रह गया sir. Plan is eventually I will go for my PhD at some point.
Now डॉक्टर से मेरे में कीड़ा है कि मुझे डॉक्टर और सीए लगाना है, चाहे मैं मरने से पहले एक बार लगाऊंगा जरूर, ये गारंटीड है।
हाँ सर, तो that's there. Otherwise also I think यहाँ पर भी I was studying a lot for the course anyways, but otherwise भी the library here is very good.
Okay.
So I read quite a lot. So वो तो that's on. So I think I'll, even if I'm not doing it to clear an exam or academically, I think recreationally I'll continue to study and read all my life.
It means जो स्टूडेंट सोचते हैं कि आईएएस हो गए हैं अब पढ़ना नहीं पड़ेगा, whatever I know कि ultimately अब तो आपको ज़्यादा पढ़ना पड़ेगा, documents, policies, procedures, etc.
वो सब भी पढ़ना पड़ेगा sir. You need to understand. So in audits, I can tell you much more about audits. So it's basically like research. So whenever you're auditing something, a policy or a project, so you need to know the basics of it, or if something's been done before, and if it's a slightly scientific one, then you have to read about that as well. So that's there. Other than that, one thing is that just like in every other field, for career progression, it's always better to add more skills. So there are plenty of courses that we were told that we could do. CFA tha, CPA tha, CA also we could have done, but obviously it's very difficult. And computer courses, एक होता है information systems audit. Okay. So now everything has computers involved. So you can get certification in auditing computer systems as well. So those kind of things, they are there in every service, I'm sure. So to improve, you can always keep doing something or the other to put yourself in a better position when it comes to it.
It means somewhere down the line in your batch of audit accounts, what I believe, there must be some people who must be from commerce background or maybe from the CA background, So they, and plus people from the engineering background also. So does it make any difference?
So there are, I think, around 14 people in my batch who are engineers. One is a doctor, and there are only 2 people who have a commerce background.
Great.
I only have it till school, but this batchmate of mine, he got rank 61 this year, so he'd be moving on to the IAS this year. But he did his BCom and MCom.
Okay.
So only 2 of us. But the thing is that our course director, he's a chartered accountant. So he used to teach us commercial accounting and advanced commercial accounting, financial auditing. So he taught everybody so well that I don't think they had a lot of trouble after the first couple of months in understanding
That's great.
accounting.
So in a way, he must be discussing about the real life practical applications more.
Exactly. So that's why when they talk about, okay, why can't we get somebody else like a professor or something to teach us? So he said it won't be useful because we need to tell you how to use this in actually
Certainly.
in the service. So we need somebody from the service to teach you how to do it.
Like in MBA, we do it because in MBA, whenever we teach, there's a mix of the batch. So logically, we
Right.
don't teach the basic journal entries, but we teach how to use the accounting information.
Right. We did the basic journal entries also,
Okay.
but so the thing is that we need to be able to identify, because we would be looking at their books of accounts.
Certainly.
So that was important, and especially in government accounts, proper entries are actually passed.
Exactly. And
So we
there the
need to
concept
be
is,
able to know.
and their charts of accounts are very different.
Yeah, government accounts is completely different from commercial accounts. I mean, I think some debit credit rules are also slightly different.
Certainly, they are
And
more single entry based. They are more single entry
yeah,
based.
they work on cost account, cash
Cash
basis
accounting
and not
based.
accrual.
Yeah.
So all of that is also slightly different.
That is
But
a
I'll
major.
leave commerce again now.
That is a major thinking. We were planning to even government of India is planning to bring, because in urban local bodies the accrual accounting has been introduced.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in the central government and the state government account, it has not been introduced till yet.
Yeah. So they are thinking about that. But yeah, let's see.
It
It's a
means,
long process. It can't happen in
there is
one
a
go.
potential for a CAs now coming up in
Yes.
future. Right. So now coming back to your IAS journey, uh, have you ever thought, because after doing such a brilliant career of 12, then the graduation from JMC, a brilliant college, and MA, sorry, then MA you did it, then you did UGC NET JRF. Why don't you opt it for the lecturership? It's a cool job, married and settled.
So it's not about cool job. I think it's about what you decide. So even from school, I thought about it, and I always wanted foreign service only. So it's about that. Somebody could want to be a lecturer, then it's good for them. Somebody could want to be a foreign service officer. So I think it's as simple as that. What you want in life.
Yeah, I
So
remember.
since
I remember when I used to teach in class 12 to you. You had that kida, I should say, and I'm so proud that for every viewers, I must say, it's all just 11 years. 2009, I remember you were in 12th. So if my memory is supporting me, 2009 was a batch of 12th. 3 or 4 girls when I used to teach them and coming back to your house. और आज seeing that कीड़ा तो अभी भी कीड़ा है और कीड़े में कहाँ हम लोग 17th रैंक. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
मैं इतने लोगों को बता चुका हूँ कि कहीं ना कहीं 0.0001% कहीं ना कहीं स्वाति की कंट्रीब्यूशन में मेरा 0.001% है, बट है.
Definitely, sir. Hard work.
मतलब अमेजिंग. नाउ यू टेल मी, अगर किसी बिगनर को सब्जेक्ट चूज करने हैं, जैसे आपने स्टार्टिंग से इकोनॉमिक्स लिया, राइट, तो किसी बिगनर को अगर सब्जेक्ट चूज करना है तो वो कैसे करे?
सर 2 चीजें, एक तो कि आपका सब्जेक्ट क्या है. सो इफ इट्स
फॉर एग्जांपल कोई बच्चा 10th में, जैसे आपके अंदर कीड़ा 11th से था, कोई बच्चा 10th में और 10th में उसे सब्जेक्ट चूज करना है और वो उसको आईएएस बनना है या यूपीएससी के एग्जाम देने, तो क्या करना चाहिए उसको?
सर इसमें भी 2 चीजें हैं कि एक तो हमेशा एक प्लान बी होना चाहिए. व्हाट इफ इट डजंट वर्क आउट? So you can't select something where you will not be able to make a career out of it eventually if it doesn't work out. तो हालांकि ये है कि if you can go into teaching तो you can take up any subject that way. तो अगर आप हिस्ट्री वगैरह भी ले लेते हो, आर्ट्स ले लेते हो, तो इट वोंट बी अ प्रॉब्लम एज सच. बट I chose economics mainly because it would have helped me here also, and career prospects are a lot better. I could have gone into research or business analytics, just like a lot of my batchmates from college, they are in corporates working like that. So I think that way it gave me both the things. But if you can take subjects like history and everything, it's fine. But eventually it really doesn't matter. You can come with any subject into the UPSC process and still do it. It doesn't matter that much, because you have to do it from scratch. It helps. For example, with me for economics, it was such that the syllabus of UPSC was the same for the 5 years of undergraduate and postgraduate, but you ultimately have to streamline it for UPSC's needs. It's not exactly the same. It helps a lot, but it's not exactly the same. And I know of engineers, they take philosophy optional in UPSC and then they clear with great ranks in that. So I don't think it matters too much in the long run, but you need to keep in mind that a plan B that should be there, and it should be a solid plan.
And that's the right thing
So,
you're saying.
so you need to pick something which at this point would be 70% for any other career prospects and 30% for UPSC, not more than that.
Now, why only IFS? Because you have got a brilliant rank. You could have gone for IAS and IPS. Then we could have saluted the IPS officer, Swati also. So why only IFS?
Sir,
Traveling?
IPS, though I can't do. I mean, I'm not very physically active as a person, you know that. So I wouldn't have survived the training also. It's so rigorous, so
Right,
rigorous.
right.
Um, IFS, I always wanted IFS. I don't know why. I think I just felt that my mindset matched
So
that a lot more.
that we want to know from where, because I remember 11, 12, you had that कहीं ना कहीं inbuilt intuition कि मुझे यार IAS बनना है या IFS में जाना है. तो what was that thing? Traveling, because ma'am used to travel a lot.
ट्रैवलिंग तो डेफिनेटली सर, मतलब आई थिंक मम्मा पापा ने इतना अपॉर्चुनिटी दिया है कि एट सच अ यंग एज आई हैव ट्रैवल्ड सो मेनी प्लेसेस, एंड दैट डज ओपन योर वर्ल्ड व्यू क्वाइट अ लॉट, एंड दैट इंटरेस्ट्स you in all of these things, that okay, every country is different. So understanding that, I think from that was a big part of it, that it just interested me in other countries, so that made sense. Other than that, I think everything that I've read, everything I've done up until now, academically also, like I did my master's in economics with world specialization. So international trade was a big component, transnational corporations and all of that. So I think academically also my career path was on that side itself. So everything I did in life was just focused around that. So it just made sense for me to pick it, because I knew that I would do a better job there based on my training.
Now, what do you advise? Because you must be aware that government of India has come up with a national education policy after so many years. And now after class 8, the student will be having a choice, right, to select a subjects, a mixed bag like foreign universities. So if let's suppose any student want to opt for IAS maybe, or a UPSC exam I should say, they can select a mixed bag, maybe economics, maybe history,
Yeah.
maybe English. So in a way, they have the mixed bag of everything. And then later they can select any of the subject. Will it be a good option?
That's actually very good, sir. Then they would be able to secure their future careers, alternative careers also, and this UPSC prep also. Because history and all, if you do from a younger age, it's better. With economics, I've seen that people who don't have an economics background, sometimes they have trouble understanding the concepts. So for them, they have to put in extra work when it comes to economics. So it's better if you have those concepts down right from the start. With history and all, I would still say ki you can sit and still learn it later on, because it's more like a story. But wherever there are concepts and models involved, it's better if you do it from a base. So
Now,
that way, if they can choose eco, it's great.
now comes the number of hours, because when you also were a student, I was a student. Generally, query is how many hours. So there are two types of thing. One is just before the examination, how many hours,
Yeah.
and one is
Yeah.
right from starting after your MA and then your journey of IFS. How many hours?
So, just before the exams, I'd say 13, 14 hours.
Just 13, 14 hours. Very less. People say
So
17, 18 hours.
it's the sir, sona bhi to hota hai.
Exactly.
Sleep is very important. People do not give it enough importance, but it is very important because if you don't sleep enough, you can't retain anything.
Yes,
You
yes.
won't. You will be frustrated at the end of the day. So you need to give your body that break. Balki, I think you know this. Even when I was studying in school, also, I would take, if I'm studying for 2 hours, I will take a half an hour break after those 2 hours. So even here, I followed that if I'm studying for 2 hours continuously, I will take a half an hour break. So, and before that, not more than 8.
So I'll share with all my viewers also what Swati is saying. Exactly same I used to do. I don't remember when I have studied in the night. I don't remember. After 11 and 12 मेरी बत्ती चली जाती थी. मुझे 6 घंटे 7 घंटे सोना है. और ultimately I used to have a small breaks. But without small breaks, I can never concentrate. Exactly that same Swati is saying, never pressurize yourself. Enjoy the subject, enjoy the course which you're doing. Only then you can do the best. शायद स्वाति आप यही कहना चाहते हो शायद.
Yes, sir, definitely. Because otherwise you get frustrated. And the other thing with UPSC is that since it's a year-long process, the pure saal you're grinding, so it gets very difficult. So there are moments when aapka energy would be low, and that's not for a day or something. It'll be low for a month also. It's possible. So you need to plan in such a way. Just like I tell everybody that we used to have exam prelims in June. So I never used to start for prelims specifically before January, February. And even in that, you hit the highest amount of time intensity only in April and May.
Agreed.
Not before that. Because otherwise, if you start full swing in January, February, March, by the time April, May comes, you're exhausted. You'd feel, oh, I've done this. So there's no point of that. Then the most crucial point, you're tired.
It is exactly like a marathon race.
Yeah.
The runner never puts the entire energy in the starting. They preserve the energy for the last.
Ji.
Exactly. Perfect. So that is a good for the beginners. Just remember that do not put everything right from starting. Preserve it for the last moment also. Now, Swati, one thing which really I want to ask, if I would have been interested in IES, my handwriting is very, very bad. You know it.
Yes, sir, I remember, sir.
So if the bad handwriting person wants to join the UPSC examination, can they do it?
Sir, it can be bad. It should be legible. The checker should be able to understand what you're writing.
If I have cleared my CA, I think it must be legible.
Good enough. And if it's very bad, one thing is, so you have to use certain keywords in your answers. Okay. So if you write those in capital letters, so at least those the examiner can see, and that can salvage the situation a little. But so keywords anyways you have to underline and put in such a manner that they notice it first. But if your handwriting is bad, then like definitely put them in capital letters, because if they miss the keywords, then you'll definitely lose marks. Aage piche grammar and all, it's fine, but keywords are important. So if it's really bad, then do that. Otherwise it's not that important, because in UPSC you have to write 20 questions in 3 hours, and I think on an average every question is 200 words, so 4,000 words in 3 hours. So that's quite a lot. So you have to write very fast. So even people with really good handwriting tend to get really bad during the mains. So if it's very bad, then perhaps you can practice answer writing and it might help. But if you can't, then keywords and capitals should be done.
Now, one thing, because after doing CA, I had that, now studies over. After clearing your UPSC, getting good rank and getting the Indian Audit Account Services, what motivated you to reappear again?
Sir, the motivation was that only I wanted foreign service. So I thought that maybe, so after you get your result, you evaluate where you went wrong, right? So you know ki, oh, this is what went wrong and I could have done better. So you do not leave that. So if you can do better and you know that you have the opportunity to try again, then you should. But I had decided that after this, even if I don't clear, I'm not gonna try again. Even in my service preferences, I'd only put foreign service, I hadn't put any other service.
Oh, great, great.
So that's important, that because later on in life you shouldn't regret also, because there are people later on who are like, yo, I had time, I had the opportunity, I should have done it once more.
Perfectly.
So I think that helps.
And how you prepared for interview? Any mock interviews with your friends or any coaching for that? And any specific interview question? Because generally it is known that UPSC is known for the very cleverest question, the quickest question.
So last year I did mock interviews. This time I didn't have time because I was on an attachment with the RBI in Bombay at that time. So I came back to Shimla on the 17th of February. My interview was on the 20th. And we had classes in RBI till like 5:36 every day. So I didn't have a lot of time. So I revised the notes that I had made last year. So you submit a DAF, detailed application form, in which they ask about your education, your family background a little, and where you have lived, and your hobbies also. So one thing is you make notes on every element of that, because sometimes they only ask you questions from that. For example, with me this year, so I had put reading because I read a lot. So they asked me, how would you promote reading in school? So I said that you give them assignments that they have to read this book for the course. Then they're like, but the students don't have time. They have coachings, this and that. They also need to play and everything. So how would they do it? So I remember that in my school, we used to have a library period of 1 hour every week. So if the school institutionalizes that, then the child will have the opportunity and a specific time to do it. So, and that's not something that any coaching can teach you. That's something you have to come up on your own there.
It
So they,
cultivates from inside.
right. So I knew this because this has happened in my school. So I knew how to do it. Plus, with Antra, we try to make her read at times. So it's important that kids read. So they asked about that. Then I had put traveling as my hobby.
Okay.
So then they asked me, what country did you visit last? So I told them. Then they asked me questions about that country's economy.
Oh,
So
great.
those interlinkages also you need to be aware of, that just because you said ki I do these things does not mean that they'll ask only in a silo about that particular thing. Other elements in your form, they can combine that and ask.
Right.
So if you have written reading, they will ask you if you read fiction, non-fiction. And if you say non-fiction, they might start asking you about anything.
Oh my God.
Right. So you have to be prepared for that. You could say, no, read biographies, right? So they'll ask you about Mein Kampf, Hitler's book. Then they'll ask you about the World War. Then they'll take you to history. Then they'll take you to the current scenario. So you have to be prepared for all tangents that they can go to. Obviously, you can't prepare everything, but since you have put that as a hobby, only put those things which you are confident about, that you can actually answer any question from.
And do you think the coaching is mandatory or is required?
It's not mandatory, sir. I think ultimately, even if you take coaching, you are doing the work yourself. The only benefit I felt with the coaching thing was that it inculcates a certain type of discipline. So you have to study this much every day, you have to go to class, you will definitely cover a topic. That's the only thing, because even when they do it, they don't give you 100%, they will give you something like 30-40%. You have to cover the gap yourself. And so if you manage to do it on your own, you'll actually save a lot of time. I don't think coaching is mandatory. There's enough material available, there's enough guidance available, and enough people have told people how to do it. Plus everybody's method is different. So I think coaching is not mandatory, but you need to know where to study from.
And generally, it is required because I have seen you also have devoted some time away from the home. Is it required to stay away from the home to have a proper concentration?
Sometimes, in the sense, if you get too involved in the housework, then you would not be able to devote enough time. So that 8 hours you have to do. So if you can't do it properly, if you're involved in whatever's happening at the house and you're getting distracted, so at times that happens. I left only because there was a little kid at home.
I know, that I know.
So that's a big distraction. And you can tell everybody else to not bother you, but how can you reason with the 3-year-old, 4-year-old? So that's the only reason. But I know of people who stayed at home and done it. So you need to see what your particular specific circumstances are. Based on that, you need to decide.
And just tell me, if someone is doesn't have a very good economic background and the financial background, and they want to do this course, generally, how much is the total investment apart from time? What's the financial cost involved in this, including coaching? Including coaching.
Including coaching. So if you take one of those GS foundation course where they start from scratch, tell you all the subjects, they cover all the GS subjects. So I think it's something above 1.2 lakhs or something.
Within 1 or 2 lakh. Within 1 or 2 lakh.
Yeah, for the entire year. Plus, if you take optional coaching, that's also another 50,000, 60,000.
Okay.
Right. Plus, you have to buy notes from the market, test series. So another 20, 30,000. So comes out to 3-4 lakhs.
It means up to 5 lakh. If you say that up to 5 lakh, someone can save or take a loan, education loan, then they can go for UPSC.
But they don't need to, is what I'm saying.
Agreed. You're right.
So it's when I joined, I didn't know that it can be done without it. Only after joining, I realized I could have done this on my own.
I remember your journey. We used to search the notes from Rajendra Nagar at the place. I remember that.
So everything is available, all the materials available. There are actually free resources, free video classes online also available now. So if anybody wants to refer to those, that's also possible. So, and when I started, the online thing was not very popular. Offline was more popular. Now most of it is online. So I think now there really isn't a need. There's enough material available. If somebody needs guidance or anything, they can always approach people who have done it before. And I've seen most of them are very helpful. They'll sit down and tell you everything you need to do. They'll tell you what books you need to refer to, how you need to plan and everything. So I think you will save a lot of money and time, mainly time, if you do it on your own. Test series, perhaps you can join. Maybe optional if it's a new subject for you. But for the GS course, the 1 to 2 lakh one, it's not important.
And what do you advise if someone, let's suppose, want to start preparation for UPSC right from the college days? Which year they should start? First year, second year, final year?
The first thing they need to realize, sir, is that they should also do justice to their graduation.
Certainly.
Because if they don't clear that, then UPSC won't allow them to sit for the exam only. So make time for that. Newspaper is very important. That's one thing they can start anytime they want. Even from school, they should start reading newspaper if they can. And other than that, maybe they can start with basic things. At this point, they can just give a couple of hours every day and do it. Best time to make notes, honestly speaking. You take out 2 hours just to make notes every day. Doesn't take a lot of brain power either. Doesn't take a lot of time. So that they can start anytime they want. Even when they enter college, they can do it. It is just that if you keep doing it for a lot of years, some sort of lethargy does set in, that you've done it so much. There's some complacency that, oh, I've read this. So you don't give it that intense focus if you start too early. Okay. So perhaps third year, second year, mid, you can start.
What is the final word from the IFS, Swati, Sharma, to the future aspirants, how they should prepare and how they should work so that to reach at your level?
So one thing I've been telling everybody is that you need to plan really well. So you make a year-long plan, you make a monthly plan, you make a weekly plan, and you make a daily plan. And you stick to that plan. It doesn't matter if it's not 100%. Even if you're able to complete 80% of that plan, it is good. And then keep a few reserve days for the plans that, for the contingency that you're not able to achieve your target, you achieve it then. Revision is important. Making notes is very important. pacing yourself is very important. Don't do too much too quickly so that you get tired in the end. But planning is very important.
And to whom you devote your success. I know ma'am is always there, sir is always there. But one person, if I want to know, Ashu is always there, I know. In a different way. In a
Mama,
different way. Ma'am is always
I
there.
would say Mama only, because I think she went with me for every single exam. No matter how much work was there in college, I remember Abhi when she took me for my mains also. There was some meeting in college going on. She was doing it on the phone waiting outside. She used to sit outside for 6 hours if she had to, because there are two exams every day in mains, 3 hours each. So she'd sit 6 hours when I'm inside and 2 hours that break we get. So if there was somebody nearby my center, she'd either go to their house or something, but she was entirely there in the entire process. And she used to say ki, okay, maybe Ashu can go with you, but I was like, nahi, you have to go with me.
Like
So
lucky mascot.
maybe. So I was like, no, I won't go if you don't go. So I used to take her.
You always look up to ma'am, and her energy is immense. If we can even match 50% of our ma'am energy, then at least we have achieved something.
And sir, other than that, I know parents always push ki pad lo, but she always recognized the need for taking breaks. So even if she had to take chutti from college just to take me out for a movie also, no, she did it because she knew ki, okay, a break is needed. So let's do that.
That's good. That's good.